All right. Okay, how is everyone? Good morning. I'm happy to be here in Rochester. I don't know if you guys know this, but my father actually is from Rochester. So this is a big deal for me to be here and giving this talk because Rochester is another home for me and my family. Before I begin, I'm just curious about my audience a bit. Raise your hands if you are a student. Cool, I love this. Okay. Raise your hand if you are a hacker yourself. Okay, nice. This is good to know. Raise your hand if you work for an InfoSec company. Cool. All right, this is going to be fun. All right, let's just dive in, shall we? So my name is Chloe Miss Doggy. I know the long name is like, you're just like, how do I pronounce it? It's just Miss Doggy. I have an MS in political research. I use data analytics and also cognitive science to understand ways of doing diplomacy in a way that's fast-tracked. However, then I switched over to the impact microfinance has on children's education rates in Guatemala. I do work at BugCrowd. How many of you guys have heard of BugCrowd? Love this. Okay, you guys are a good audience. I'm also a Disclose.io supporter. Raise your hand if you've heard Disclose.io. I would give you a high five, but I can't because I'm attached to this mic. But I will give you one afterwards, or a fist bump. You decide. I'm also a board member for 4 nonprofits that are for education rates to increase in developing countries. I'm also one of the founders of Women in Security and Technology, WIST. Has anyone heard of WIST before? Sweet. By the way, we're looking for people to start having chapters all around the US and the world. We right now have over 60 chapters around the world in the last 4 months since we started. So if you're interested, let me know. I also spearhead the SF chapter. I am a mentor in tech. So if you are someone who is looking to get into InfoSec or in InfoSec and you need someone to mentor you or get where you need to go, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you guys out or connect you with someone who can. I do speaking on diversity and inclusion, also on bug bountying as well, because I love bug bountying. I'm a hacker at night as well. And last but not least, I am an activist in a sense. I do believe in safe harbor, and I definitely want to promote more ethical hacking in the field. And I'm a founder of Drop Labels, and this is my Sherlock. It's a Shiba Inu wearing a diaper. Not very happy. It looks happy, but she's not happy. And feel free to follow me and whatnot on Twitter. I love getting DMs, and I love helping people out, and I love to connect with you guys afterwards anyway. All right, let's dive into this. So we're going to dive into a few things. First, we're going to go into the background statistics, our brains and labeling, and we're going to do an activity. Yes, I'm forcing you guys to do something. This is going to be fun on a Saturday morning. We're going to do some obstacle storytelling where you get to hear some stories. And then I'll give you some solutions, perhaps. So let's just dive into diversity statistics. Since 2013, it has remained unchanged. 11% of women are in InfoSec, and that's because there is a continuous rotating door of coming in and out. Minorities, less than 12% in InfoSec, and that's been going for quite some time now. There is about a 1.5 million shortage right now in InfoSec, so you guys, they're always hiring. You'll always have job stability. Underrepresented persons are more likely to be let go and fired. Also, I should throw in there, that is not on this slide, but women and underrepresented other folks actually do about 2.6 times more work, unpaid hours, than white males do. Underrepresented persons are less likely to also be promoted beyond a manager title. That's right, some of us are stuck in the manager role forever. So clearly we have a diversity and inclusion problem here. And more companies are realizing that the only way to get great people is to invest in the workforce diversity and social responsibility. Companies seeking to become more inclusive in their hiring should examine and question their own assumptions and unintentional biases in their hiring process. So, let's start examining and questioning our biases. We're going to just dive into our brains. So it's broken into 3 parts. So the first is fear. We have this unconscious, social constructed survival mechanism called the amygdala. The amygdala when it sees someone that they do not know or does not feel like they recognize the person, doesn't look like me, or something like that, we're going to automatically go into freak mode. And by freak, I mean flight versus fight, but we're just going to go to the freak mode I like to go to. And what happens is that these are a lot of social constructed ideas of each other, like in the news, or from your peers or your family about other people. But the good news, it gets verified in the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex, it acts like your CEO. It's basically like, you need to chill. Or it might turn around and be like, you know what? You should totally freak out right now. I'm freaking out right now in every single possible way. So basically, stereotypes and beliefs are questioned at this point. And then it redirects to the amygdala saying whether to act on it as a flight or fight way. So just note, you can always question your biases. And it's okay to be uncomfortable because it's when we're uncomfortable that we start recognizing a thought pattern. And we start questioning these things. So the more we get outside our comfort bubble, we learn more about the wonderful world that we live in. Because it does impact others when we don't work on ourselves. And hopefully this video works. Or not. Oh, there we go. Accept the sound. If you can hear it. Yeah? Okay. Any better?
Join me and many others in the Drop Labels campaign by posting your experiences with labels at droplabels.org.
That was not a promo, you guys, I swear. Anyway, was anyone able to hear that? Good. Wonderful. If you want to see it again afterwards, let me know. I'll show it to you. All right, so we're going to do an activity. I know. I saw people taking in breaths like, no, I don't have caffeine for this yet. So we're going to get to know each other. What I want you to do is look to your left and then to your right and say goodbye to the person you're sitting next to. All right, next step. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go sit next to someone you've never talked to ever before. You've never seen this person, perhaps, or maybe you have, but you've always wanted to talk to them. All right, now make sure you sit next to that person. There's a fire hazard happening here, you guys. All right, if you can hear me, clap your hands once. If you can hear me, clap your hands twice. If you can hear me, clap your hands 3 times. Welcome to kindergarten. No, okay, so next thing, everyone has a partner, right? This is super important. Everyone's got a partner. You don't have a partner. I can see everyone, come on. All right, great. Everyone has one partner, correct? Okay. Oh. There's someone, okay, if there's a set of 3, you gotta be 2 people. Do you have a chair? You're gonna need a chair. Okay, good. I couldn't see on that angle because you're gonna hate me even more. Okay, next thing. I want you to rock, paper, scissors to the person. Okay. Everyone got it? It wasn't at a 3. It was only one time, okay? All right, those that won, you are A. The ones that lost, don't worry, you're B. All right, you ready for the next part? All right, this is when we're going to get to know our stranger friend next to us. So what's going to end up happening is, A's, raise your hands. All right, A's, you're going to talk for 5 minutes. B's, raise your hands. Excellent. B's, you're going to listen. You cannot talk back. You cannot answer anything. You cannot say a single word. You can nod, not nod to keep yourself awake, okay? I just want to put it out there. But you're going to nod if you want. So what's going to end up happening is this person is going to talk for 5 minutes. All right, for 5 minutes, they're going to talk about anything. All right, A's, you can talk about anything. You can talk about, like, your personal life, your work. Don't worry, you're going to dive into personal stuff no matter what. And then B's, you're going to listen, but you're going to catch yourself in the act. And what I mean by that is that when you're like, oh, yeah, how should I respond to this? Oh, yeah, me too. I want you to actually catch yourself if you're in that moment of judging, because then you're not listening. This is important. And also, it's a way for you to realize how much thinking goes on in here. So I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. So everyone ready? Wait, I didn't say go. Come on. All right, I gotta do this first. Okay. And on ready, get set. A's, enjoy telling your story. B's, enjoy telling your brain to shut up. All right, ready, set, and go. You can't take pictures of the audience.
Huh?
You can't take pictures of the audience.
Oh,
All right, if you can hear me, clap your hands once. If you can hear me, clap your hands twice. If you can hear me, clap your hands 3 times. You probably now know what's going to be the next step here. You guys are going to switch roles. Yay! Okay. But the one thing you should note is that you cannot respond to anything that they said. You have to come up with your own original content. Don't be copying people, okay? No one likes a copycat unless they do it in style. But you're not doing that here. So take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. B's, are you ready? A's, are you ready to listen? Excellent. And wait for it, and begin. All right. Clap your hands once if you can hear me. Clap your hands twice if you can hear me. Clap your hands 3 times if you can hear me. Clearly, I come from an education background here. All right, so I'm just going to open the floor. I'm curious to know, how did you guys feel about that? And yes, you have to raise your hand, okay? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, imagine doing this for 10 minutes. Yes? Love it. What else? Yes, back there. I like this. You know yourself so well. You keep it. You keep it going. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit different because I don't know if anyone felt like, oh, wow, I think for the speakers it's a little bit harder because for them they're like, are they actually still listening to me or have they tuned out? And then for the listeners, like, oh my God, I really want to react. We have something in common. I think we're like lost souls and we're like alike each other. Like, really, I got to get this person's phone number. What else? Yes, in the back. Don't ever tell that to your mom or dad. Yeah. What else? Yes. Yeah, exactly. I feel like we can all agree that we have been trained on like how to be with each other. Like to always be like, I gotta pay attention to what I'm listening, or I just repeat what they say and agree. And that's the thing, is that this is a very different way of actually listening and talking. How many of you guys, raise your hands, deep dived into your personal life? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now you're like, you might leave this session feeling like, I should have not told this stranger any of this. And the next thing I know, I get a DM from you guys saying like, really? You made me share all this confidential information? You're such a social engineer. But honestly, this is one of those moments where it brings us closer together as a community in InfoSec. And more today, we need that now. What else? Anyone else? Don't be afraid. Yes.
Well, we learned that we had something in common, although not directly in common. So that was useful.
Right.
It gave us a sense of relationship that we have in both places in the school that I work in.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love those stories. And you know what? Did you guys all realize you got outside your comfort bubble? Yeah? But you learned something, because you would have never sat down next to this person or ever talked to them, right? Unless you were forced by me early in the morning. All right, what else? Let's go all the way in the back first. Yes, you in the long shirt.
As an introverted person, I you know, being forced to the way we're in this activity, it made me realize in most conversations, I kind of rely on the other person to say something, to give me an idea of what to say next. And it's, I'm really, I'm not socially trained or personally trained to just
No, just think of it, training wheels, right? Like someone just came by and like you were learning how to ride a bike, but this was your first time on a bike and someone stole your training wheels. That's literally what just happened for introverts. And also for extroverts because you had to be quiet. What else? Yes, you.
Myself recognizing when my partner was struggling, and empathizing with that person and wanting to help them, and being kind of in a situation where, kind of restricted by the rules for helping.
Yeah, rules. Don't we all like to break them sometimes? How many of you guys actually broke the rules right now? I like your honesty, you guys, because I know everyone in this room probably did at some point. What else? Yes.
It was like, everything that seemed common interest, like I talked first, and I didn't say anything about it, and she brought it up, and I was like, oh, I want to say something when I was
Love it. Anyone else? Yes.
I found myself trying to be even more expressive in my face and in my actions to show that I was listening and to show my empathy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
More so than I think I normally do when I converse. So it's valuable that way.
Yeah. Sometimes people, in this activity, they nod and they catch themselves nodding, but they also are trying to figure out, how do I convey that I agree? So then you start thinking, well, if I smile, that means I agree. If I look directly in your eyes, that lets you know I am not sleeping. Anyone else? Yes. Yeah. We're so driven, and that's completely natural because we are kind of egotistic a bit sometimes. We like to think of like, how do I connect with this other person also? And that's the thing, is that if you realize in this whole activity is that we are actually a lot more similar than you think. And that's the important part, is breaking those barriers, making us understand, questioning our prejudices, and making us really dig deeper about what am I doing that's creating these walls between this stranger and myself. And that's the important thing. Any last things before I start? Cool. All right. Well, let's go into some stories. You heard some stories for about 5 minutes from the other person not being able to respond back. So let's just dive into some. So these are all stories that I have collected. I have a lot more than these, of course, but these are the ones that I like to pull out as much as possible. So Rebecca, all the names have been changed, by the way. You'll never find these people. Rebecca is a CISO, but she's not allowed on the board. And the reason for that was that by the way, I should mention she is a female. And the other thing is that the board is all men, white males, of course. And basically they turned around and said, I'm so sorry, you can't be on this board because you're not technical enough. I don't know if you've heard this quite often. It's a phrase that women hear all the time in InfoSec. And to be honest, she actually has an engineering degree, like she has a PhD in computer science, and none of these people on the board have any security background, not even an engineering degree, not even a computer science degree. But she was still refused a seat. Andrew is an African-American male, and this is another common thing, is that InfoSec companies sometimes don't allow MLK Day off. And the issue with that is that that's not being inclusive. So he had to work. He was the only African-American in the company, and he had to work on that day, and he felt, and he knew right away at that moment, he does not feel part of the company, and they're not recognizing who he is. The other thing is that they also decided, you know what, you guys, what would be a great idea? We should throw a hip-hop party, cornrows, and listening to rap music, saggy pants, and all that stuff. And imagine someone being in that room and being like, oh my God, what is this? That is why it's 12% still. Crystal's a security manager. She has worked for a very well-known company. I'll give you a hint. I didn't say this out loud. And she has been a security manager for 20 years, you guys, 20 years. That means she hasn't got director, she hasn't got an executive, and she's an incredible woman in the field. Cleo, a marketing manager. So one day they're all deciding, you know what, let's change the website around, but we need to have some good graphics. So they're like, well, why don't we just do that and let's throw a woman in there. Now, I'm going to be standing in the way that this photo of this woman looked like. This is not what an executive woman stands like. When she walks in a room, she's going to own that room. The first thing you learn at McKinsey is if you're a woman, you go into that boardroom, you go large. That means if you need to take up 2-3 seats, you do that. When you walk in the room, you do this. It's like animals. Like you just have to be bigger so then people will see you as an equal. Which is not bad, you know. It's kind of fun when you walk in a room like, all right, you guys, let's go into this. And now my story. And the first time I went out in public about this story was actually during RSA and B-Sides SF. Was anyone at RSA or B-Sides SF? Oh, we should connect. We should. So at B-Sides SF, I finally shared my story of how I almost left the field. So what happened was that about a year ago, for International Women's Day, I decided I'm going to call up a bunch of different women in InfoSec and hear their stories. And I'm going to write a blog about the shortage of women in InfoSec and why it's like that. And they told me all their stories, and I was really touched. And it went through one ear and just stayed in my brain, but I never actually thought about it for a while. Until I went to RSA. I go in this room, and there's 300 people in there. And yes, you know, they're all white males, majority. But the thing you should note is that there was only 2 other women in that room besides myself. And the first thing went through my mind is like, please say not an executive assistant, please say not, and they both were executive assistants. And I remember just like walking out that door, then going down to the restroom down the hall, and there's this line wrapped around for the male's restroom, and then the female restroom, no one was in line. Ladies, that's right. You'll always have the opportunity to use the loo without a line, which is fantastic. And so I walk in there, there's no one in there, and I'm like, huh, this is very strange. And then I was like, walk into the hotel, and I get in the hotel room, and I remember, for some reason, something just hit me like a tidal wave, and I just broke down crying. I mean, not like cute crying, you know, like fallout, like in a ball, like mascara running. And all I was thinking was like, oh my God, why was there no women in this bathroom? But also the fact that there's a serious problem. There's no women in this room. I don't feel comfortable. And then suddenly all the things that these other women were sharing with their stories, suddenly it hit me even harder because I suddenly realized a blindfold was lifted and everything that they were sharing with me, I actually was experiencing it, and I never knew. It just was there inside, and suddenly this raw emotion comes out. So during this time, I was really contemplating about leaving InfoSec. I was like, you know what? I don't feel like I belong here. No, and I can't keep fighting this fight. And so then I decided, you know what? I'll give myself 2 months. And then I went to Day of Security conference. How many of you guys have heard Day of Security? Okay, so it's a conference just for women. Happens in San Francisco, and they just had one in Boston. And I walked in this conference, and there's no men. Men are not allowed to attend. You're allowed to volunteer, but it's for women to feel included for once. I walk in this room, and I kid you not, there's 200 women right in there. There was a line for the restroom. There was no line for the male's restroom. And it just really, I was like, oh my God, I belong here. And it was the first time I didn't feel alone. And that was the situation. I felt very much alone. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay here. I'm going to give myself an extra 3 months, but I'm going to fight for it. So then what I did was that I rolled up my sleeves and I started contacting those women again. And then I also contacted other men in the field. Yes, because men are our allies too. They do a lot of great things for the women community. And so then I connected with them and I was like, you guys, I had a talk that was accepted in Las Vegas. I really want to go. And they're like, don't worry, I got you covered. Next thing I know, I checked my email and I have passes to Black Hat, besides Las Vegas, go Volting. And then I got into, QueerCon. I got into Hacking Diversity, Diana Initiative. And I went to 6 conferences within 7 days and had everything paid for and expensed and whatnot because of people believed in me. And this was men and women, okay? I really want to push that out there. And they believed in me. And I gave a talk, and next thing you know, I started booking more talks. And then I social engineered to get into every single Bug Crowd party so then I could actually go and meet the team because I was curious about working for them. I really like bug bounty use and vulnerability disclosure. And so I walked in at this one party. It was the QueerCon party. There was a giant pool, and there I met some of my future colleagues. But most importantly, I had a talk with Casey, the founder, at 1:30 in the morning in Las Vegas after doing the 3-2-1 rule. If anyone knows, it's 3 hours of sleep, 2 meals a day, and 1 shower a day for about 5-6 days. And him and I were just standing by the pool, and we were just talking about diversity. Next thing I know, they're like, we would like you to come in. We're interested in you coming to work for us. And I was like, yes. And ever since then, I now get to work at Bug Crowd, and I love the people there. They include me, and they're always open to inclusion and diversity measures. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them and the people in my network. And that is also why I created WIST with some other colleagues of mine, because we know the importance of not feeling alone. I want to reiterate that because that's the issue we are facing right now in InfoSec. We feel alone. So that is my story. So what can we learn about stories? They change our perspectives, our beliefs. It can remove blindfolds, can bring awareness, and they can make us really uncomfortable, but that's when we're learning. So how do we apply stories and cognitive science to solve this gap? Well, one is volunteering. Start early to promote InfoSec. That means getting out in the community, go to a high school or go to a middle school, and just try to get out there and see if you can mentor them. Get involved in outreach and mentoring because #it takes a crowd. Because you can always find, okay, there's another video, so this is going to be fun, you guys. Because there's a lot of great things you can do when you recruit people. All right. Can anyone hear that? Okay. Didn't know which mic it was again. Okay, let's rewind this. Oh, that's what I thought. Nope, thought so. Okay, so I will show this. Actually, it's on my Instagram. So if you go on my Instagram, it's the exact same as my Twitter. You can find it, or I'll just show you guys. Come up here later. Basically, it's this guy who I talked to. He was a real rebellious kid in high school, and everyone kind of gave up on him. But because of this rebellious streak, I was like, have you ever thought about being a hacker? Because that's what we do. And he's like, yeah, I'm kind of curious. And then I started mentoring him, connecting him with this really awesome hacker, and now trains him, which is absolutely fantastic. So you never know, get out there. Start spreading the word early because a lot of people, especially those that feel like they're outsiders, are really great for the community because we're all outsiders in this one community. All right. Networking. Form support groups in and out of the office. That's right. And the other thing is, when you do want to speak up on something of inclusion, make sure you never do this solo. I want to reiterate that because I know too many people who are underrepresented that went up to their boss, and next thing they know, they got fired within a week or two because they brought it up. Go in groups. Form a collective organization. Also, there's great supports called WIST for women if you're out there. But yeah, and if you have Slack in your office, create a little channel. Like at Bug Crowd, we have this one called #Ladybugs. It's really cute. And we all just support each other. Attend conferences like this. Attend conferences that you see on the speaking list. Hey, there's all different types of people giving talks. This is fantastic. Also, push for a diverse CFP board because when you have a CFP board, they're more likely to accept more of these type of talks. But before I say that, also there's a lot of conferences you should attend. You should definitely go to Vegas. I kid you not, I hate Vegas with a passion. But DEF CON, Black Hat, QueerCon, all of them are fantastic. If you want to be a Volt for B-Sides Las Vegas, let me know. If you volunteer for more than 18 hours, you get a free place during your stay, which is fantastic, so you're able to go. But I just want to reiterate that the most important thing really starts between you and me. So keep listening to stories, introspect yourself, and keep an open heart, because it's important that we never feel alone. So I'm just going to start with this. Any questions? I may have answers. This is not Sherlock. This is an imposter. Any questions? Yes?
So recently I've been seeing articles saying, and I don't understand it because I do know, like, when you go to RSA and you see the representation.
Right.
That if there's some other way of counting the number of women in the field, and it's actually like this 30% or something like that. Do you have any idea, like, what that's coming from, and like makes any sense?
Yeah, so there's various different organizations, usually nonprofits, that do it. Oh yeah, so the question was, where do they pull the data from, correct? How do they find these statistics of underrepresented persons in security? There's a collection of different organizations and agencies. I'm more than happy to just DM me on Twitter, and I'll send you those articles and those research papers.
But I guess I believe the 10%, I don't believe the 30%, and so I don't know what the
30%.
I know.
That's interesting. I wonder if that's including the turnaround rate too. I'll look into it for you. But just do DM me, and I'll look into it for you. Yes? I want you to just check in with yourself, make sure that you listen to these conversations and take the stories that are shared today to the rest of the office. And when you feel like someone, great example. If you're in a meeting room and there's someone who's underrepresented in that room and is the only person, make sure that they have the time and the comfortable feeling to speak up to in that meeting. I think that's really important, because what happens is that sometimes people talk over each other and they're not seeing that this other person might have something to say. And it's a lot harder for them to speak up usually too if they don't feel empowered. So if they're disempowered, they're going to be quiet. And that's when you're going to have people leaving, most likely. Yes?
What are your suggestions in terms of diversity for CFP? There's lots of different perspectives as to consider have blind CFP and not a blind CFP for diversity. If there needs to be intentional invitation to people who are underrepresented, and if there's something questions them, somebody who is elected because they're an underrepresented. I just wanted your thoughts.
Yeah. I think one of the best ways you could possibly do is make sure that board itself has invited other folks from other organizations that represent underrepresented persons to at least sit in to make sure all those measures are being taken care of. That would be my fastest response for. I know there was one more question in the back. Yes?
It was more of a comment. Somebody asked, like, what is something you do as an individual? And a lot of my perspective and what I've heard as well is, like, if somebody comes to you with, like, a complaint or something, like, hey, I'm really getting a lot of reviews on this PR or from my other coworkers, you should try actually listening to them instead of automatically dismissing what they're saying. And it's like, well, this guy always does this a lot or something. Actually try to listen to their perspective.
Exactly.
If anything, it's really nice to not just be dismissed automatically.
Right. And that's why that activity is so important. So what you could do is take it back to your office and be like, hey, you guys want to play a little activity today at lunch? We're going to be quiet for 5 minutes, and you're going to listen to me talk. Next thing you know, they'll be like, oh, my God, what did I get into? Any other questions before I wrap this up?
Unfortunately, it's that 10%.
Yep.
And I've noticed that they're always upbeat, hardworking, like Lisa, and their statistics, they work a lot, or try their best. But I've always heard negativization on because they then is there just something I'm not seeing, like client facing? And then I saw the statistic that women and minorities are more likely to get negative reviews. White males are more likely to get positive reviews
Right.
with, constructive criticism.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now it's like, okay, if you're in a position where you're looking at the reviews and seeing all of that, you really have to think about that. Okay, who's doing the review? Are they being just not constructive, or is it just negative?
Yeah.
For the same amount of work?
And that's very much true. There's been times where, like, in my personal life, not at Bugcrowd, but also for other people that I know, that what happens is that they actually say something and they turn it down right away. And what they do is they get a male colleague to actually put it in there to be like, hey, we should be doing this. And they're like, oh, that's a fantastic idea. Great risk job. I love that. Promotion. And that is a very common occurrence, unfortunately. Yeah. Right.
You try to take a risk and promoting public internet advertising.
Yeah, I know at some companies what they do is they make sure that there's always a male colleague in the room with the underrepresented person to reiterate their points. So then they're like, okay, I trust you. That seems to be one of the things that they've been doing. That seems to be pretty helpful, but there's definitely some other ways how to go about it. I know I have to wrap this up, right? I got one more question. Yes. I will be honest, what you just did, they will listen then. And the reason for that is like we're always like very boss. Oh, so the question is, how do I get someone to listen to me as someone who's underrepresented? I'm assuming. How do I have them actually respect that I actually know what I'm talking about? And honestly, it's going in that room and like really just being straightforward. Like for me, it's also this fear factor, right? That you always feel like, well, do I know what I'm talking about? Oh yeah, wait, hold on. Yeah, I totally do know what I'm talking about. And I think that's one of the issues right there. The other issue is that how do you get people to see not this and more like what's coming out of your mouth? And to be honest, it's taking up more space, more room. And then also, if you're getting frustrated, say that. Just be like, no, you are not listening. Let me give you the facts here. That's when you get their attention. It's just to be very calm about it, but also being very direct. And I think, honestly, that is the one thing I've learned is don't be that person who's quiet and just gives up. Be direct. If they have a problem with you, they have a problem with you. That means that that company is not good for you. And there will be other companies. And if you ever need to find another company, let me know. I know plenty that are always hiring. Overall, I just want to say thank you guys for being here. Thank you for existing. And feel free to reach out to me. I have plenty of stickers. Grace Hopper stickers. She's fantastic. And also, if you are interested in learning about vulnerability disclosure, bug bountying, Disclose.io, or anything about diversity and inclusion, I'm around. Just swing by, say hello. I'll be walking around. And most importantly, I also have another surprise for you. Whoever is the first person to DM me to let me know what is my favorite book, you will get a special gift in the mail. So have fun, you guys. And thank you so much once again.